What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day. In this video, I will be showing you how I package massive amounts of trading cards in a singular plain white envelope, starting with one card and ramping up all the way to 50 to 60 cards per envelope. And I know what you're asking yourself, Bronze, how do you even fit that many cards in an envelope, let alone safely and securely? And I'm here to tell you there is a way. But before we get to that, if you do not know who I am, my name is Bronzgod. I have been selling trading cards mainly on Tcgplayer for just about 3 years, averaging $40,000 in sales, mostly selling bulk. In addition to videos on how to grow a trading card business, we do content on Pokemon news, pretty much anything to do with TCGs, you name it, it is here. So that is content you like and you want to see more, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video and comment down below what you like, what you didn't like, everything in between, and what you'd like to see. I'd love to see you around. So we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the video. I've got all my supplies to the side here, so I'm going to go step by step on how I do this. We're going to start with one card, 11 cards, 20 cards, 30 cards, and then the coup de grace, 50 to 60. It's easier than you think, and I'm excited to show you, so let's get to it. Okay, so we're going to start with one card. So first, you got your penny sleeve, you got your card. Someone ordered a little horsey, hooray. Card goes in the penny sleeve like so, not too hard. Now, something I do to differentiate myself from a lot of people is use these. You can usually buy these. I'll have a link in the description of the one I do on Amazon, but you can usually buy these for like $1,500 or $2,000 for like $7 or $8, like fractions of a penny. But what I will do is use these as tab pulls. So I'll insert right behind the card and put it on the penny sleeve and then insert it into a top loader. Now, I prefer top loaders over the cardboard things. There's no wrong answer. You can use the cardboard ones if you want, but I feel like top loaders especially are a little more professional looking. A lot of people will use tape, and they'll, like, instead of using these little tabs, use tape and tape it inside and do it like that. I prefer to do it this way. It looks very nice, very professional, very clean. Once we get that in there, we will then take a team bag, plop that sucker in there, and then you are good to go. One card. Now, you can obviously fold the invoice any way you want. A lot of people will just stick it in and then just fold it over like that. I try to make this look as pretty as possible. Yes, it takes a little bit of extra time, but the amount of positive feedback I get from the way my things look, I like to stick with it. So what I'll do is I'll take the invoice, I'll flip it upside down, and then I'll bend it back just to where the dotted line is, like that, right where that dotted line is. Then I will fold it over like this, and then I'll flip it over and fold it like that. And then what we'll do is we'll take the card and plop it right in the middle there. And then there's these, I get them for free at work because the pharmacy I work at goes through thousands of them. But then you have these little just like white labels. You can get them, again, for fractions of a penny if you buy them a lot. And if you're doing a lot of orders, you're probably going to need a lot. I will tape it just like that. That sucker is not going anywhere. Nice, neat, packed away. I particularly like windowed envelopes. You don't have to use windowed envelopes. You can easily just cut out the name and address and plop it on there. I don't have a zebra or a label printer for that. I know a lot of you might, and you can just slap a label on there like that, but I use windowed envelopes. This is a slightly more expensive way to ship things, but when you're shipping lots of orders, you want to differentiate yourself. And if you get this thing packaged up nice and pretty like this, one card down. So, like I said, go to my store and check my feedback if you want. The amount of thumbs up I get for the way these things look when they show up is a lot. But that's one card. So let's move on to 11 cards. Okay. So for the sake of expedience, I have these all pre-sleeved. There are 11 cards here total. What I'll usually do is, now I don't necessarily always sleeve everything individually. Typically, if the value of the card is over like $1 or $2, I'll make it individual. But typically, if it's a reverse hollow, a hollow, or any kind of foil, it gets its own sleeve. But if it's of lower value, I will do 2 cards per sleeve. You can do it any way you want, but this is the way I do it. A lot of people, that when I would put 2 reverses or 2 foils in the same sleeve, even if they were back to back where the foils weren't touching each other, a lot of people don't like that, and it's really like fractions of a penny to just put them in separate sleeves. So it doesn't really add that much to the weight overall too. So, you know, it's their penny sleeve. Just do what you can. So there's 11 cards there. Now what I'll do is I'll take a second card, and I'll take another Post-it like this, and I will stick 2 cards in the top loader. I try to keep everything in order, in invoice order as well. And I'll put 2 cards in here only because it'll help with the width of the package. Usually once you get to like 10 to 12 cards in a stack, that's when you're kind of hitting your limit on how many cards you can put under the width threshold that you can do for a plain white envelope. So 11 cards, bang, just like that. In the team bag it goes. Seal it up again. Same thing with the invoice. I'm going to use the same one over and over again, but it's the same deal. Fold, fold, flip over, fold again. Right back in the middle, just like that. Label so it doesn't go anywhere. Boom. 11 cards. Get another envelope. In it goes. Bang, boom. 11 cards down. They're protected. They aren't going anywhere. Now, when it comes to 20 cards, we're basically just going to repeat this process. Okay, so for 20 or 21 or 22 cards, it's the same process. We've got the one here. We do the same thing that we did with the first one here. Put them on opposite sides. Label on one side, label on the other. Now, the original 1-for-1 card and this, they're machinable. I know you might think that they're not. A lot of post offices will, whine and complain that they're not, but they are. I have 3 post offices near me, and only one of them will let me drop them off without any hassle or pain. I understand why they might not think they are, but they meet the criteria. They have to be bendable, which this is. It's under the, I think it's 3/4 of an inch. It's either, yeah, I'll double check. I'll probably put it in the description, but there's a certain width requirement, which this meets. It meets all the requirements that it needs to go through a machine. Even if you are unlucky and you are near a post office who is just going to give you a hard time, even paying the non-machinable stamp is still going to make it cheaper than if you were to send 20 cards and a PWE, because you're looking at least $5. With 20 cards, you're looking at a stamp and then an extra ounce stamp, which is going to probably be like $1.40, $1.30, maybe even a little less than that. So 20 cards, bang. Let's go to 30 cards now. Okay, so we have 30 cards here. Now, this is the point where top loaders go out the window, because when you package these up in the team bag, they're going to be sturdy enough to where these things aren't going to get damaged, but they still will meet the requirements of a machinable envelope. Again, you might have a hard time with the post office near you, but this can definitely go through a machine. So we're going to do 10 per stack. So 1, 2, 3. So when I do this, I'll do it in invoice order. So I'll do, let's say this is the first 10 cards of the invoice. It will go in the team bag just like this. Move these out of the way. And I'll seal it up. Now, this is a little extra step I do to make sure they are rigid. I will take another one of those labels. And I will tape it around like this. And then I'll just stick it right on the side, and then I'll peel it back. So that way it's got this sag. That way it keeps it nice and firm. Additionally, like I said, if this is a big order where there's like 20, 30, 40 cards, I will write a number 1 right on there. That way they know this is the first bag of cards in line. So that way when they unpackage their order, they can go right in a row checking things off. Anyone who's ordered a lot of cards before and they're all just jammed up, you know that's a bad time. And the easier you make it on the purchaser, the better the feedback is going to be. So we're going to repeat that for bag number 2. Just like so. And the more and more you do this kind of stuff, the easier it's going to get. You may even find your own better ways of going about it, but this has been something I've been doing for quite a while, and it's really set me apart, I think, in the feedback that I've gotten. Every once in a while, someone will come by and say, I don't like it, but we're talking like 1 out of every 2,000 or 3,000. So if those, that's a 2. So if that's the numbers I'm working with, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. Only when the complaint is like out of every 5 orders, 6 people complain, that's when I'll change it up. But all right, so we got the third bag coming here. We'll get this one packaged up as well. Get a label. These labels are fantastic. Like I said, they are fractions of a penny. You can use tape. They just don't, it does not look the best, especially painter's tape. Don't use painter's tape. Not a big deal if you use painter's tape, but again, it's icky. So 3. So we've got our order packed up. We have bag number 1, 2, 3. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to fold the envelope like we did in the past. If you need a refresher on that, just rewind. Instead of putting them sideways, we're going to have them sticking up like this. Left to right in invoice order. Then we're going to take another couple of labels. 1, 2, 3. And adhere them to the invoice. Just like so. I'll usually push them down a little bit so that way there's enough room for them to fit into the envelope. This one could probably go down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. 30 cards. Bang. Get another envelope. Put that sucker right in there. Now, for 30 cards, just in case, because it's going to be fine, I will take a tiny little bit of packing tape, and I will just put them a little bit on the end here where it's like kind of frayed up, just in case it catches onto something. Yes, that adds a fraction of weight to the envelope, but you've already got 30 cards in an envelope, so another 0.01 grams or whatever this is whatever. And then there you go, 30 cards in an envelope. Now, I'm going to repeat this process we're going to do 60. I try to stay as close to 50 as possible, but if I get an order that's like 56, 57, I'm going to go for it. But just to show you it can work, we're going to do 60 cards. We're going to max this sucker out. Let me get this thing taken care of and we'll show you that last step. Okay, so we've got our 60 cards here. We're going to count out one stack just so you can see there's 20 cards. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 cards. We're going to do the same thing we did for the 30. And I mainly just want to, I know it's the same, but I want to show you that it will still fit. It will still be perfectly fine, perfectly safe, perfectly bendable, yet rigid. Depending on how many sleeves you use and the type of envelopes you use, 28 to 30 cards is going to be just about what you can do for 3 ounces or under. I mentioned 3 ounces because once you get over 3 ounces, you're going to be getting into large flat rate envelope material, which you can still use a plain white envelope for. The metrics, I believe, are anything over 3 ounces to 11 ounces, and it has to be a uniform flat package, which this is going to be. So once this is packaged up, instead of doing a bunch of stamps, you can ask them for a meter strip. Well, they just weigh it out and slap a sticker on there, and then you just pay that postage instead of wasting a bunch of stamps. So usually when if I have like 20 or 30 orders, I'll do stamps for everything 3 ounces and less, and then anything over 3 ounces I put in a separate stack. They weigh it all for me there, and then they do it. So stack number 1, package number 1. Stack number 2, package number 2. Just like that. And yes, like I said before, I know this is a little more time intensive. This might be a little more expensive as far as, number of sleeves or, the tabs, but when you dress it up very nice and very pretty, everything is in order and everything is as painless as possible for the person buying them. You're giving them a premium shopping experience That's going to be hard to beat. So last team bag on here, number 3. One thing I did forget to mention in the beginning is I always write a handwritten note, just a, hey, thanks, or thank you very much, smiley face. Just to leave a little personalization touch. You don't have to do that. You can use a stamp or not do it at all. But even on 15-cent orders or 1-card orders, when you have a little note saying you appreciate their business, it's a nice little feel-good moment. So, paper, again, we're going to do the same thing. Stick these in. It is going to be a little, you might think it's going to be a little tight and it's not going to work, but it's going to work, I promise you. Label number 1 goes right here. Having to look over these cameras this whole time. I need to get a bigger desk. I think that's going to be, instead of getting another camera or anything else, the next thing I buy with bulk money is going to be a bigger desk so I can do bigger and better things, because I am jammed up over here, but we're going to make this work. Bag number 3, and then into the envelope it will go, just like so. I'll usually push down a little bit to give it some breathing room to put the top over, just like that. Now, as you can tell, it's a little bit of a tight fit, but it's bends enough to where it's going to fall into any flat rate category fine. And then I will add the tape on the corners just to give myself a little bit of reinforcement. When you're over 3 ounces, the extra weight from this little bit of tape, you can use more tape if you want, but the little extra weight is not going to matter, especially when you're trying to cut corners in a productive and frugal way. But on average, I think my most expensive, like these 50 or 60 ones, end up being like $2.50, $3.15 if you get it meter stripped, like I was mentioning, which is still cheaper than a bubble mailer. Now, for 120 or 100 cards and more, you can do like separate ones. Usually I'll do like 40 and 40 or 50 and 50, because once you get to about 95 to 100 cards, it starts to be almost the same price to put it in a bubble mailer. It just depends on where it goes. If you're in Florida like me and you're shipping to California and it costs $10 to ship a bubble mailer, it's going to be more cost effective to do 50 to 60 cards in 2 plain white envelopes and just mark them package 1 of 2, package 2 of 2. If you live in Arkansas and you're shipping right down the road, you know, at that point, it might be better to use a bubble mailer depending on what the tracking amount is. I use Pirate Ship for a lot of that. So when I plug in all the information and it gives me the number that I got to pay, I can make an educated decision at that point if it's better off to just package it off in 2 envelopes or keep it in 1. But as you can see, this is going to show up perfectly fine. If you do want to check out my feedback, there's plenty of feedback there where my shipping is some of the best. Let me know what you think. I know this may not be for everybody, but when you're trying to save as much money as possible with the way that margins are in the hobby in general, even using a couple extra cents to make it look pretty is still overall a beautiful way to package up your cards and make sure they show up pristine and beautifully looking. But yeah, let me know what you think, what you like, what you didn't like. I'd be interested to see how you feel about my methods. And yeah, hope you guys have a good day. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great one. Take care. Have a good night.